Hi, and welcome to The Greater Truth of a Woman. I am Lisa Barrett, and this is episode 13. We have Paul McAllister from Soulscript. Thank you for coming on, Paul.
Thank you so much for having me, Lisa.
We're feeling a bit nervous today, so let's just throw it out there, right? Because what did we scream before we come on? Like, what is going on? What? I have not been nervous on this for ages. It's not like me.
I don't know, maybe
maybe you brought the nerves with you. No. So let's just shake them off.
Yes.
So Paul works in somatics.
Somatics, yes.
And so Paul works in somatics, and tell us a wee bit about what you do, Paul.
So what I do is I help guide individuals, either dealing with depression or anxiety, and some people are on medication also. I guide them through them just to connect deeper into themselves, using natural methods like breathwork, energy healing, somatic therapy, touch, just to help regulate their nervous systems. I help them feel calm and safe in themselves. I should have done some today before I came here.
You should have done a bit of self-healing on yourself.
Self-healing alone. Yeah. But it's all just for like empowerment, so like for the individuals just to have tools that they can use themselves just to help regulate feeling safe, calm, dealing with emotions or any difficult periods.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about my journey with you because I know you through Ashley's class, but we'll dive into that later.
Yeah.
But so I went to a Blue Lotus ceremony with yourself and a few of my friends, and it was awesome. It was really, really awesome. But I had realised along my own journey that I am storing emotions. Now I think it's common from childhood trauma and things that have happened to me.
Yeah.
And while I've got rid of it all up here, the body's still holding on to bits and pieces because I did do a bit of somatics myself at home. So we'll dive into a bit about the Blue Lotus ceremony.
Yes. So the Blue Lotus ceremony, trying to remember what we actually did that time we did it. But so like Blue Lotus, it's a flower. The Egyptians worked a lot with Blue Lotus. It is mild psychoactive in the sense that it just really helps calm the nervous system as well.
Yeah.
I like to call it just like a natural diazepam type of thing. So it's really helps calm the nervous system. Really good for like pain, depression. It also is an aphrodisiac, and it's very good for opening up the upper channels like the throat, the third eye, and the crown chakra.
Yeah.
So when we did the ceremony, we set like an intention with the medicine because it is a sacred plant at the end of the day. Set intentions. We did some breathwork, body work, and then we went on like a sort of like a hypnotic meditation, to go to Egypt and meet a guide or live a past life experience in Egypt. Yeah. And then with that there was some like drumming, music and movement and that. So I like to combine all the different sort of modalities that I'm trained in within most of my sessions with people or in ceremonies.
It was amazing, and it made Mandy's birthday. She was
Mandy's birthday.
Yeah, it really did. But what I'm getting at is I've done a lot of breath work before I had met yourself, and I was experiencing all this all through the breath work, and I was like, what is going on here? Because I was doing breath work and I was exhausted after coming out of a breath work session. I was like, what's going on? But I could feel that there was stuff that I was holding on to, and I just did not how to let go. And then during the Blue Lotus ceremony, we discovered that there was definitely trapped emotions.
Yeah, because I remember like watching, so like what I would do with clients and was with yourself. Yeah. This was when I was just watching the pattern of your body, and how you were breathing, and I could see where your body was holding tension, and there was that like tension coming up your body, but you could also see it like around your jaw, and not really wanting to express, because sometimes through trauma and through life experiences, like our voice has been suppressed so much, and we can't express what it is because we don't feel safe. We're told to shut up or like shush, don't be angry, don't be sad, all this jazz. And it was like you could see the tension was coming from there. So, well, you were holding the tension here, but the jaw's very linked to the pelvic floor. Yeah. So any trauma that we hold around our pelvic area, it's going to impact the jaw and vice versa. So I started doing
I can even
feel
my jaw going as you're talking about it.
So I was just watching your jaw, and I was putting like a little bit of pressure behind the jaw. From what I can remember, like it did help, like get something moving around the pelvic area. But in our 1-to-1 session as well, like not the Blue Lotus ceremony, like again we were able to go a bit more deeper around the pelvic area because it is a bit more personal then and more private instead of being in a group of people, you know. Yeah.
Just what I want to sort of put out there, I think this type of work for women that have been, I'll say, SA, basically because our body does hold on to the emotions and the trauma, and I have said about it that I thought I had get over it, but you just don't get over something. I suppressed it for a long period of time, and then I did a lot of work on it, and even this year I did more work on it. It came up because people think when you heal a wound it just goes away, you know what I mean? It can come up and then there can be something else to heal on top of that. So it turned out it actually came up in one of my RTTs, and it was one of my last ones. So after, I kind of knew that there was still stuff that I needed, but I knew that it was definitely holding on to these kinds of things. And this is what you probably see a lot, Paul, is women, you know, storing emotions due to trauma, you know. It is very, very beneficial.
I have worked with a lot of women who have suffered SA, even miscarriage, abortion, a multitude of different things. And again, when it comes to like the pelvic area, like women hold a lot of trauma there. That they're consciously aware of or not consciously aware of.
Well, what actually came up in mine in our private ceremony was a lot to do with my childbirth. Now it was
your personal childbirth. Okay.
And also me having my son. And it will some of it. When I was having Justin, I should have had a cesarean, but it all happened so quickly, and then there was too many people in surgery, and I had to be cut open quite abruptly. So there was a lot of trauma, and then afterwards I experienced a lot of sickness. So Justin was taken from me quite after. So I didn't know but that just came up after when we were doing that.
So that is even for the child, it's quite a traumatic experience. Like I recently did like an online module. I was all around somatics, and like the birth for anyone is a traumatic experience because we're in our little safe haven home for 9 months, and then we come out to this external world, and then we have to breathe and see for ourselves. Like everything, we're more autonomy. We're meant to be doing all this ourselves, and like things that we've never done before. But when the birth is more like it's like an emergency, like cesarean, or like, is what you explained. That's like a more traumatic for the mum and for the baby.
Because Justin had to be pulled out with a forceps, and afterwards I vomited all over the delivery suite, you know, so I wasn't even fit to look after him straight away afterwards. So I didn't even know that I was storing that. But obviously, you know, that, and then I was raped about a year before I actually had Justin, so I mean that was all in quite close proximity. So so that's it's phenomenal that actually came up. You know what I mean? It just shows you how amazing. But I mean, as I told you, my symptoms of fibromyalgia have disappeared through personal development, through looking after myself, through doing the healing work and whatever. So I do feel, and you must feel this too, that it's important, because I know that you're a registered pharmacist. So tell us, Paul, because I'm talking away. Tell us how a registered pharmacist goes from, you know, doing a daily job, you know, does all that training, all that work. Because I mean, you went to university, goes from that and into the, you know, this kind of work.
So like I'll start like a wee bit maybe before about school and stuff like that.
Let's take our listeners on a journey.
Yeah, so like in school I was always like top achiever, very studious. It came very easy to me. And I was always really excited about school. I was like, I know I'm going to do something that's going to be helping people, and medicine was like at the forefront. I always wanted to be a doctor. And then just through life experiences, like my parents separated when I was 13, so I was getting into third year, and we used to live in Derry. I went to like a really good school in Derry, but I was brought to Belfast then.
Yeah.
My mum lives in Derry, and like my mum left, so my dad brought me and my siblings back to Belfast because this is where he's from. So he would have struggled like having 4 kids on his own. He didn't know how to cook a meal. Actually, I'm just thinking about one of the first meals he ever cooked. It was actually really funny, but and then he just needed family around just to help with the support of like 4 kids, and obviously he was going through like a grieving process himself. So in that, like I moved school. I went to an all boys school then, St Mary's on the Glen Road, and I only was there for like 6 months because it was absolutely bonkers. I was this wee soft studies child that like wanted to learn more and everything, but like there was just I was in a class full of headers and stuff, doing like smoking joints and like trying to stop each other, and I was like, I really hated it. I used to come home like crying to my dad, be like, what the hell is this? Do you know?
Yeah.
So he went over to Rathmore in Dunmurry. I think he was just inquiring if there was any spaces, do you know? And they said like, yeah, there was a space just came up like around that same time. A child had left or they moved. So I went to Rathmore then, do you know? And I got back more into the swing of studying and stuff like that, but then I was getting into the teenage years and I was hanging about with like different friends who liked to go out smoking and drinking and that. So that started to creep in, and then my dad was like, I thought I was quite responsible. I maybe was portraying this really responsible like teenager, but he was like, yeah, you can go out with your friends like into the city centre and that, and just then again partying started to creep in. I wasn't going to just your like say like the box or like the bot or anything like that or the egg. I was like going to like Thompson's or Yellow and getting a wee bit weight. But yeah, that was like that sort of then just took over life, do you know, in a sense, and sort of lost interest in school. So when it came to like A levels, I did do the A levels to get me into medicine, but I just wasn't happy. I wasn't pushing myself, do you know. So I ended up leaving school, and my dad was involved in property, and he was like, why don't you go down that route, because it was like there was a lot of money being made and stuff then. And it was like everything was growing really exponentially and like the economy. And yes, I was like, okay, I'll go do quantity surveying or something, you know, and hopefully I'll be in a good job after 4 years. And like in the first year I was there, that was like in 2008, so there was that big economic crash, and I mean the majority of people dropped out of that uni, or out of that course in Georgetown. And we were just told you're not going to get a job once you finish this degree. So I then was like, I'll push to do like the medicine again. I went back to Belfast Met and repeated the chemistry and biology A levels, just to push them up to an A, because you needed an A to get into medicine or dentistry. I was interested in maybe dentistry, but it was really, really tough. I had to go for all these different interviews, and interviews for like to get into these things are like quite intense, and I still would have been very, very shy then. Like, didn't like speaking in public or like meeting new people. I was like, really blushed and stuff.
Wow, that really shocks me.
I'm probably sitting there with a red face now, but I blush really easily and stuff. So I ended up, I got offered a place in pharmacy at the end of it, through all that. So I was just thinking, you know what, I need to get out of Belfast. I think I need to explore, like find myself a bit more. So I went to Hertfordshire. It's just on the outskirts of London. I was there for like 4 years at uni. And when I was doing the course through the 4 years, like, I met amazing friends, and I was like, this was the right thing all along. And I got like different sort of placements in different hospitals, community chemists, like worked in different like nursing homes and stuff like that. So I was gaining a lot of different experience and different sectors within pharmacy. And then I moved into, once I finished university, I moved into London and was there working in the Royal Free Hospital in Hampstead Heath, which is a huge like teaching hospital. And I gained a lot of like clinical experience. And then I moved back to Belfast just briefly because I was hoping to go back to London. Because you have to send a registration exam, and my registration exam, there was like 3 month period between qualifying as a being able to go on the register and send an exam. So I came back home for a bit, and I was just curious looking for jobs, and like in Dublin in the south, like pharmacists were getting paid an absolute fortune, and I was like, why would I want to go back to London? It's so expensive. like I've been living as a student there for like 5 years, and like I've been broke for so long. I want to go where I can like live a bit of a life. So I moved to Dublin then. I was there for 5 years working as a pharmacist, working within the community, different community areas, you know, and then I ended up getting a job in the health service as like a senior pharmacist within addiction and mental health.
Amazing.
And I actually sort of forgot what was your actual question. How does someone from a pharmacist go?
Yeah. So basically, going through your teenage years, which is obviously hard. You lived the party life, and then you really thought pharmacy.
Oh yes,
it was for you. It was basically for you.
Yes,
so
I knew it.
What changed?
Yes, so in the pharmacy world, I was always finding that when I was going from, I would have changed job every year. I was like, and it was just like there was a deep unsettledness in me.
Yeah.
Every place I went, I was like, okay, yes, these people, this company or this pharmacy has better protocols in place. Like looking after the staff better. Because pharmacists don't get lunch break or anything. Sometimes I was working like 12, 13 hour shift with not a lunch break, and you're giving out like serious medication. Like if you make a mistake, you could kill somebody. You can go to jail. Like it's not even just you get a slap in the hand type of thing. You can go to prison like for manslaughter. So it's like
understand that.
A lot of pressure on pharmacists, and it was just go all the time, and I was just exhausted, and places being really understaffed, me being overworked. So I was like, I chopped and changed different jobs, and then I would have been there for like maybe 3 months and be like, oh my god, this is not like what it was, but it's actually they paint this like picture, like when you go for an interview, be like, yes, we've got all the staff and this and that, and then after a few months you're like, they talk shit. They talk absolute shit. This place is hell. So I moved about a bit within community, and then I thought I landed my dream job because I always had an interest in addiction and mental health, because addiction runs my family. I've suffered with addiction, and I was battling addiction through all this as well. But I got a job in the health service as a pharmacist dealing with addiction, and that's when something in me was like, I need to look at myself here, do you know?
Yeah.
I need help with what I'm struggling with. My physical health wasn't great, my mental and everything wasn't great, mental and emotional. But I was seeing how clients or service users were being treated in the health service. Like I would have been dealing with like the creme de la creme of people with addiction, and they were coming in begging for help. And all that we could have done was just give them more tablets.
Get them out. Yeah.
Because it was like a conveyor belt. This was like a really big addiction centre right in the city centre of Dublin. And it would just be like, if a client came in and they were like breaking their heart sobbing, being like, I need help, I have nowhere to live, XYZ, or I'm broke. Like I'd call the doctor and be like, what are we going to do here? This person really needs help. They want to speak to the doctor.
Yeah.
Because the doctors, the psychiatrists, everything, they were all in the one building. It was like a huge, big sort of complex thing. And they would just be like, give them an extra tablet, or give them an extra 5 mils of methadone. Get them out.
My God.
So I was like, inside, I'm like, right, okay, I know I'm struggling with addiction. Like drinking just at the weekends. Cocaine mostly, do you know. And
I've been there.
If I go to the doctor, this is what I'm going to be treated as. Like, I'm not going to get help. And inside there was this really deep urge to get to the root cause. I don't know who I was talking to the other day, and it's this really deep awareness inside that I might not have been aware of then. But there was something inside going like, you need to get to the root cause of this. Like, you really, really do. Like, you cannot go on down the route of medication. So I was a bit lost, and I was like, what are the other options, do you know? And then lockdown happened, COVID, but then out of nowhere, like a guy who I haven't spoken to in years messaged me out of the blue, being like, well, Paul, how's things? And I just like, honestly, like, I'm not doing good, and I'm like in turmoil here, like struggling with addiction and just feeling like shit all the time. And he was like, oh, I was at this retreat, it might be up your street, do you know?
Yeah.
And I looked into it then, and it was plant medicines, and it was ayahuasca. It did take me a few months to get the courage to go to the retreat. I had heard of this before. And like previously, I would have thought, who in the right mind would want to go to something like this?
Yeah.
You know? And the more I looked into it, like in the 3 months leading up to me having the balls to go to it, like it was, I was like, God, I'm in for a journey here. You know?
Yeah.
I went like in July 20. It's been 2020 then, yeah. So it's just over 4 years ago, and whoa. Just whoa is all I can say. Completely life changing, and that really expanded my consciousness to beyond what you can even comprehend.
Yeah,
and
I can imagine.
I came back and went back to work after. I took a week off after just to let things settle and integrate stuff. And I went back to work, and I was like, oh, I even understand why I didn't want to go on medication and go to the doctor even more. And I felt like my soul was being destroyed because I was actually part of the problem. And like these people come to us with serious addiction, but we're providing them with medication that are just as addictive as the stuff that they're getting on the street, if not worse.
Yeah.
And it's just a system that it just keeps people in a loop. And I was like, I need out of this loop. I am part of the problem. I don't want to be an enabler in a sense, you know, and I just, after the first retreat that I went to, just like, as I said, like I felt like this just expansiveness. I just wanted to learn more. Yeah. So after a few months, I did then go to another retreat. And there, like, I felt like I was being brought to a part of my brain that I had never used before. And it was just showing me, this is what you need to do, and laid out. So like this plan, you need to go learn different things because you are meant to help people with addiction and mental health issues, but not in this way. You need to go learn all these different types of modalities and things to be there for, because things, as I think since then, things have gotten worse for people, you know, and I think if you are aware, like you can see that things will gradually just get worse in terms of like people's mental health, the people wanting or finding a need to sort of not fix themselves, but like something to cope, and it's going to go down the road of more people being prescribed medication and stuff like that. So there needs to be more options.
It is, and I've said it before, and I told you privately as well. I mean, when my symptoms were at their worst with the fibromyalgia, the anxiety, the more stress, I was very stressed at the time, and the more stress that was coming in, you know, and if I was going to the doctor, it was, you know, try this, then it was try this, then it was try this, and it got to the point where I was on gabapentin. I don't know much about them, but I know they're not good, and I know they're not good for your female organs as well, which really alarmed me when I read up on them. You know, I was like, there has to be another way to do life. There has to be. I cannot be like nearly 40 years of age and be like, feel like I'm dying. And that's what I felt. I felt like I was dying. It's
like even with some of these medications, or like they disrupt the whole like nervous system.
Yes.
And like even how your body's communicating. So like even you're getting more detached from your body in a sense. And we are meant to be embodied beings and not in the head or even just totally detached, walking about like zombies. And like you see it in the city centre, or even local areas, you know, like where I live, you can see it like quite prominently, and it's like people are not embodied, they're not in their body. And that's scary.
It is.
That is really scary.
It is. Like, I mean, over the last few years, shopping in Belfast, I wouldn't probably be in just as much, but every time I'm in now, it's like the amount of homeless people, the amount of needles, it's scary. Addiction is really high here in Northern Ireland, and so is mental health. You know, it's the highest in the UK.
It's even like, it's actually, I think Northern Ireland is considered the world's highest in terms of antidepressant prescribing.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's something that I read recently. 93% of people who suffer with mental health issues in Northern Ireland are taking antidepressants.
Yeah.
And when you consider like we're such a small country and the population is not that great, like, and it's a very traumatized place, like the troubles and whatever else has went on, you know, so there's a large population of people taking antidepressants, and it's the 2.5 antidepressants were prescribed 2.5 times more per head than what in England. And in 2020, it's like the last time they done any sort of like released any statistics. In 2020, £18 million was spent on antidepressants.
Wow.
And only 1.9 on counselling.
Oh
other
my.
things. So it's like if we evaluated where that money was going, and it could be into things instead of people just taking a tablet, like put it into things like social prescribing. You know, like this is something I'm really passionate about. But like social prescribing could be like art classes or the garden, like communities, like building that connection and community with people, especially after the pandemic. Like people have been so detached, disconnected from everyone. You can still see the fear in people, you know. So like making that sense of community, and like that's what I do with people who are open to exploring tapering off antidepressants, is providing different alternatives, tools, breathwork, regulation tools, energy work that they can do themselves at home. It's not that you need me. I want to empower people to take that way. So this is where if they're spending that amount of money on medication, like why not put it somewhere else, or even as a preventative to reduce the amount of people being prescribed antidepressants, because it is still going up. And we still don't know what the impact of COVID has been. So put funding elsewhere. You know?
Definitely. I mean, what really struck me was your figures you said about counselling. I mean, I know alone, like even women coming to the gym, I mean, I've had to basically encourage them to go to counselling as well. And the waiting list is crazy.
Ridiculous. And then if you ever hear, like I have been referred for counselling, but you only get like 6 sessions. By that 6th session, I don't even have a relationship with the counsellor. I don't feel safe to know who they are. I'm lucky I have private health insurance through my partner's work. I've been having counselling or therapy sessions almost a year, and like we still haven't even explored like EMDR, CBT, because there's so much still to unravel, you know, and it takes time.
It does.
It's about safety as well.
And I was in and out of counselling for about 3 years, and 3 counsellors, 3 years, and by the time I'd got to the kind of the end of my sessions, me and the counsellor had come to the conclusion that I needed to do subconscious work. You know what I mean? That took nearly 3 years for that conclusion, because I was doing all the work, the body work. I was exercising, I was meditating, I was looking after myself, I ate well. You know, I had a happy family and whatever else, but it just,
you do have to take into consideration all these different factors, like the health and diet, your environment. Like, this is something that's like really, especially for people coming out of rehab or even going and exploring like a retreat, or like whatever a retreat is. Like, are you coming home to like the right environment? Do you have the support at home? Like, are people going to be there to hold you when you go through like an emotional process? Or some people come out of rehab and they're back into living in the homeless shelter or hostel, and they're around other people who are using, and that environment is just going to make you want to use again, you know?
Exactly.
So if we created like sort of communities where people are learning new skills and put their hands at different things, like the North, Ireland and beyond would be a much better place.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely, because it is much easier, and I see it, like, not diving into clients' personal, but I see it. You know, I ask women when they come, you know, are you on any medication? Yes, I'm on for anxiety, depression, or something similar. And then I would ask, you know, when was the last time you were screened? When was the last time, you know, and I have seen it can be years. It's been years from they've been reviewed. You know what I mean? They're just being prescribed the same thing over and over again.
Because I would, like, for the past year, I have been working with clients who are wanting to taper off medication, like really safely and slowly, and explore like the somatic work, the breath work, the energy work. And some of these clients have been on antidepressants for 26 years and have never ever been reviewed. Like if you go on the NICE guidelines, which is like the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, which governs like the whole UK and the NHS, like all about prescribing the medication and different technologies and stuff that they use. It is recommended that for acute episodes of depression, people only need to be on antidepressants for several months. But for people who have like recurrent episodes or long bouts of depression, it can be explored for a bit longer, but as long as there's always been reviewed.
Yeah.
But they also do say that if you are being started on an antidepressant, you should be educated and informed of the potential side effects and also the process of tapering off, which can cause a lot of withdrawal symptoms. I've been prescribed antidepressants twice.
Yeah.
For something not even to do with for depression or anxiety, and I was never informed about anything ever. And like, even me as a pharmacist working in like a pharmacy, we didn't have the time, do you know, to even spend, because you could be there all day, like, you know, talking to people about the potentials of what this medicine can do and not do. What we just say is like, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for us to work. Just keep taking it, and you have to keep taking it until your doctor says so.
I know.
And the doctor never says anything.
I know, because they give you a pill and it's like, but it'll not work for 4 weeks. It is so.
And in those 4 weeks, people can really, let's say, things exacerbate even more worse.
Yeah.
You know, and to the point where like things can, like, that's what they say, these can cause suicide, but it's like, people can be already in that place and they need something like quicker.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I'm not saying breath work and energy work and plant medicines are cures for things, but they can relieve the tension that people are feeling and take them out of their head pretty quickly, do you know?
Yeah.
I think these methods and tools need to be taught even within school at a very young age. So
I agree. I agree, because like, I mean, I had a rapid transformation very quickly. I had really bad anxiety, suffered with depression on, suppressed my emotions, was in a not so good relationship, and just the weight of the world was just, I was struggling. And I was on antidepressants probably 6-7 years ago. I was on them for a period of 3 months, and I know in that 3 months that I just went from like what I call normal Lisa to this person who just wanted to sit in normal Lisa. Well, but just wanted to sit, and I just like sat in my room. All I did was basically take Justin to school and go to work. That was it. And other than that, I was in the bedroom, literally looking at the TV. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't cry. So it was just like a full numbness. That was crazy.
Like, I only lasted a few weeks on them. Like, the first time I was prescribed antidepressant, I actually went because I was at uni, I think it was 2nd or 3rd year, and there was a lot of assignments due, but at that point, I was struggling a lot. I was urinating a lot during the night, and my sleep was being really impacted. I went to the doctor thinking, like, well, there's do like a urine test, if I got like a UTI or an infection, but should I surgery, leave anxiety, take that. I took it for 4 weeks. It helped in a sense, but like, what it did was like the side effects were really bad. I felt like I was constantly like coming off like A's or something, you know. I felt like my eyes were like that, I felt sweaty. I was also at uni, I was in a relationship, sexual dysfunction was like totally messed up, you know, so it was just like things like, I was like, this is a bit odd. So I never got it repeated, and then it wasn't until then I lived in Dublin, I tried fluoxetine, which is Prozac. I think I took that 3 days, like, and I was like, as if I had been in a party for, again, a full week, and just leaving the party, I was like, I can't go out in public feeling like this. Yeah. Like, my eyes, like, I meant to be dealing with people, like, in a pharmacy. Yeah. My eyes, I couldn't make eye contact. It was like, this, like, it was weird. It was like as if I was on a lot of narcotics. A lot, and I was just like, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel right. So I didn't try it, and then I tried 5-HTP, which certainly bought in Hot and Bar, but that did similar, because 5-HTP is, it's a synthetic, what do you call it, I don't know if the word's a hormone, but it's like some similar, it works like a synthetic serotonin, but again, it had similar things, like similar reactions to me, and I was like, because a few people had recommended that, because they said it was a bit more natural, but I didn't feel... It didn't. Even on that. So it was like I'd been needing to understand that more, or what's going on, but like it's very normal, as you said, like this emotional blunting. People are like, I want to cry, but I can't.
Don't know. I think that's probably how I've trapped emotions too, is just not being able to show the emotion as well. And that's going back to what you'd said earlier, like about counselling. You know, it can take so long for you to get counselling. You only get 6 sessions. There's not enough of it, and you know, there's so many good counsellors in Northern Ireland. I've met quite a few of them, and I've had some on here, and you know, they should be pushing that out more.
Yeah, that like definitely talking therapy with more like embodied therapies, getting involved in a community, like the way I know you from the Ashley's classes.
Yeah.
Like those classes are lifesavers for me, you know. It's like it's my time for me to go out and I can be as weird or wonderful as I want without being judged. Do you know? And it's just like, like these things are needed. People need to be a part of a community.
Yeah,
that's what they say. Like depression and addiction is lack of connection.
It can be, and. Just for anybody watching, we go to Ashley's class. Ashley was on the podcast. Yes. But yeah, that's how we met. But I mean, as I talked about it before, I mean, the first night I came home from Ashley's class, I was like, I feel normal being in there. Yeah. Because I can be weird and say all the things that we say.
Sure, like I was at a few weeks ago, I don't know if you were at the class, but I was like, I just want to wear a dress and wear heels, paint my nails and wear a big wig and walk down the street and just be like, fuck you all. But like, that's why I'm saying that, is like, it's just these energies, you know, it's like the energies, or like whatever you're connected to in the sense of like maybe guides or whatever, or these, even ourselves, like humans, like we have the masculine and the feminine within us, and like sometimes these energies can rise up, and I mean, this is a process I'm going through at the minute, but you won't see me walking through that. Not yet, anyway. Not
yet. No, but it's, you know, even learn, we're all born, everybody's born with these kinds of psychic abilities, and you don't know it. I was like, it's a deep remembering. Yeah. Like it's something that I was just walking the dog even this morning, but like everything is like a deep remembering, because we've been conditioned and dulled down through, like, you can go into a whole big rabbit hole about like the education system and just life, the food, everything. But it's like a deep remembering of like the essence of your soul and your being. And that's, I know for a fact I was highly intuitive as a kid, and like it's just been so suppressed. It's been dampened down. Yeah, just through life and hardships and big T's, little T's, whatever, you know. The word trauma actually gets to me now as well, because it's like it's just everywhere too. But it's like, not that it's bad, it's more like it's a tension we're holding in ourselves. Like, it is. Because sometimes if we're the trauma, it can be re-traumatizing as well at times. Well, I think for me personally sometimes. Yeah. But it's more like, I know I'm holding this tension in my body that's I'm trying to like work through or accept, you know? Yeah. Because the event has already happened, it's in the past. But sometimes we need to like look at the story of it all, but like sometimes but it's having the awareness and doing these kinds of things, energy work, all the different modalities or plant medicine will bring that awareness on. You know, they all do the same kind of thing. But it's just what suits what what suits what fits the person. It's like not everything works for everyone, you know. Yeah. So as long as you like, I have tried a lot. Like I just dabble. I like to try everything. You know? You're a bit like me. I would try everything, but it's like we like just to explore. I love just being curious. The same, curious for everything, because curiosity is actually quite playful, quite childlike as well. So if we're curious, you'll find something that just like really ignites something in you. Be that like breathwork or meditation, or go into like a spiritual circle, or plant medicines, breathwork, or cacao, all these little things. But like, you will find just something in that, even if you're like, okay, it wasn't really for me, but there's a wee bit in there. It's like, even if it's just being in a group of people that are really open-minded, it sparks something. It does, Well, let's talk about some of the modalities, because you do. When you sent me your screening form, I was like, oh my god, Paul. So, what would be your favourite modality that you work in? Is it the somatics?
Somatics, yes.
Yeah.
See the impact that's had on my life as well.
Yeah.
Anything to do with like massage or body work.
Yeah.
Physical touch, you know, for me personally, I get a lot from it.
Yeah.
When I receive it.
It's your love language.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just probably because I have shamed my body so much over the years, like so disconnected from it, hated myself. And like I still at times look at myself and have those thoughts, and I'm like, okay, no, stop it. Like there's no need. Like you're this beautiful being, you know. Like, but it's the body work has helped me to connect the parts of my body I've just been disconnected to.
Yeah.
Be that like even like my hips or like the tummy area or even like pelvic area or feet and things like that. Like
what really fascinates me about somatics is if you look at animals, and you shared a post a while ago about the comparison. So explain that for anybody that's listening and interested.
So in the video, it's actually a video of me where I was receiving like someone to release they were releasing the tension in my hips and the pelvic area. I suffered a lot of trauma around there through a scalding accident when I was a kid, and they were just putting a little pressure around my psoas muscle, and then the pressure got deeper as I was breathing, like as if my body was welcoming their physical hand into like the space in my hip. And the tension they started to get a bit more tense, pushing down, and they give it like a little like shake to try and bring whatever up to the surface. And my physical body shook for, I think, about an hour. Like a literal hour.
Wow.
Like in the video, the clip,
yeah,
it's only like, say, 10 seconds or so. But it shook for over an hour, and it got to the point where like my body was just doing what it needed to do to shake out the trauma or tension. Here's BC's not word. But shake out the tension that I had been holding for so long.
Wow.
I suffered a lot of, like, before that, like a lot of feet pain, hip pain.
Yeah.
And it was just needed to work out. It needed attention brought to it. But in the little clip that the teacher shared, he shows an antelope like shaking. So this antelope, say, was being chased by like a lion or a cheetah. So for its own safety and like to live, survive, it plays dead. It drops to the ground. So it goes into freeze mode.
Yeah.
But then the cheetah's like, that's not fun. I want to chase. They want to play that thing. So the cheetah just goes off, but the antelope then sort of comes round and it starts to shake. So what it is just shaking that fear, that survival instinct out of its body, so it can just continue on with its life. But as humans, through life, do you know, like, you ever hear, like, if you're in a fight and you can feel your body starting to shake, or someone will like, oh, look at that wee wimp, they're shaking type of thing.
Yeah.
So we try and stop that. We're trying to go
tense up.
Tense up. But that shaking is just an innate natural response for our body to release the tension or the experience that was happening. But we suppress it all, we hold it so tight. And it can be there for years, very, very long. And I'm a firm believer that this is what can cause physical pain and also lead to like a lot of
I am definitely
diseases.
A firm believer that it causes physical pain. But having been through so much physical pain, I thought I was dying. And there was just, I was wrongly diagnosed with lupus. They thought it was lupus to begin with. Experiencing all these mad rashes. And then it turned out that they said it was fibromyalgia. And to me, it just kept getting worse. And I'm like, I'm doing all these things. And why is it getting worse? You know? But I needed to go inside. And as I said, I just decided and I had enough. I needed to basically find something to do, another way to do life. Otherwise, I was ready to give up on life.
Like I have, since I started my healing journey, like, what was it? It's coming up to nearly 5 years or so. I wouldn't have had much pain, but there was a lot of gut issues going on then. Yeah. And I wouldn't have felt any physical pain, but like going on this journey, like my body has felt a lot of physical pain. Yeah. But it was because I wasn't aware of it or I wasn't conscious of it. So it was just highlighting to me, like, your body really is holding all this, be it emotions or tension, but like it's screaming for help, do you know? And
that's exactly right, yeah.
Over the past few years, like, it's eased, but at times it comes and goes, do you know? Because I know I'm just going deeper with whatever I'm still holding there. And yeah, like they're through these different modalities, like you can 100% heal yourself.
100%. Feel we should talk about Cambo because I have never experienced it and I've looked at it many times. I know it's super beneficial for addiction. I know somebody who specialises it and it's basically helped them with their own addiction. So talk us through Cambo.
Yes, I know you asked me a while back about all the different modalities. I was like, somatics. But yeah, so Cambo, it's a secretion from the large monkey tree frog. It's from the Amazon. So what this frog does, it secretes, they're called like peptides out of its body. And people are like, it's not a poison or a toxin, but it's not. It's a secretion that the frog basically uses as a sweat or a sunscreen, because frogs are amphibious, so they're in and out of water, but this frog lives in the trees and it's in the jungle and there's going to be a lot of heat, humidity, so it's going to dry the frog up. So that's what the frog uses it for. But the tribes in the jungle, through like the shamans, the medicine men, have explored this medicine to help heal the tribes through, like, say, physical conditions, or they see all this as like bad energies, to help release any bad energies that are attachments. But in like sort of Western society, like, because we suffer a lot with like things like addiction, anxiety, depression, physical pain, Cambo's really great for those. And so how it's given is like you would drink about a liter and a half of water on an empty stomach, and then the medicine's applied through like gates in the skin. So you use like an incense stick just to scratch off the top layer of skin, and the medicine's applied and it goes in through the lymphatic system. Okay. So the lymphatic system is like the drainage system of the body, and these peptides that are in this secretion just scan the whole body, top to toe, go to the areas where you're holding the tension or holding toxins, brings it all to your tummy, and that's what you purge out. The process only lasts about 20-30 minutes or so. It can't be intense, but it's, as I said to you before we started, like, if you're, say, suffering with addiction, anxiety, depression, and day to day is tough just to get through, like, why don't you put yourself through the 20 minutes of uncomfortableness to reap the benefits? Exactly. Nothing comes easy.
No, nothing comes easy. It really
and there's no quick fix. So like these just to highlight, like these medicines, they are sacred medicines, but what it's doing is it's resetting parts of your system, physical organs, and also you get a lot of mental clarity from it. So from that clarity, you're like, okay, like I do need to make changes. Like I need to be better or put into some sort of routine. Change the environment that you're in. So it gives that strength and that mental clarity to make decisions a lot better instead of that brain fog just can really keep you hooked into like the lower negative vibrations.
I know, because I noticed funny on my TikTok when me and Kira was talking about ayahuasca, it kind of blew up and my inbox went mental. People were asking, I was like, I haven't done it. So now I have sat with ayahuasca for maybe close to 5 years. I know that the person I was a few years ago couldn't have done ayahuasca because I know that I would have went into psychosis. I just wasn't mentally fit enough. I know that for a fact. But that's the only thing that kind of worries me about ayahuasca, because people hear it and they're seeing transformations in people, and yes, it is a good thing, and it might sound a bit hypercritical because I am going to do a journey in ayahuasca but I've said this for a long time. Do you know what I mean? Would you agree, Paul?
Yes, yeah. I think we did speak about that in your one-to-one session. It was if I was to look back on my journey with medicine, like plant medicines, I went in totally blind, totally oblivious to what was going to happen. I was desperate at that point, and plus the whole country was locked down. I needed help, do you know? But what happened there after the first retreat, it opened me up so much that I could not deal with emotions because I'd been suppressing them for so long. At the actual retreat, it was great, and I left on a high. I was on a high for 2 weeks, but then life continues on. You're going back to the real world. You're back with family or friends or work colleagues, these ones that really trigger the life out of you. And the emotions, it was unbearable. I actually did feel quite suicidal after the first retreat. Wow. But then there was that deeper call and being like, you need to go do it again. So after the second retreat, I released a lot of fear. And everything started to change then. But if I was to, I still would sit with the medicine. Back in January this year, I was at a retreat, and it brought me to the Scalding accident when I was 10 months old. Pulled a kettle over myself.
Were you only 10 months old?
I was only 10 months old.
Wow.
Yeah. And see there was a lot of emotions that came up in the ceremony. Like, you would think someone was murdered. How I was crying.
Yeah.
But for say 5-6 months after that, January, right up until June, like, I was continuously like that for every few days, like these big cries, and it was like really, it was like as if I was being pulled right out of my body. It was really intense. But if I had that experience 5 years ago,
yeah,
I would have definitely been admitted with psychosis. But it was because of the journey of where I've been. The medicines are intelligent and will only give you what you need.
Yeah.
But you still need to know how to like regulate yourself. Like, on hindsight, if I was to go back, I would be definitely doing talking therapy, the breath work, the body work, everything possibly before I would go and explore
it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just me. But like, at the same time, I've had an amazing journey, and it was just meant to be that way as well.
Yeah.
But if you don't, I would recommend, like, if you don't know how to regulate yourself, you don't know how to even breathe properly, or just sit with yourself. If you can't sit with yourself for 5 minutes, I would really not recommend going to this.
Yeah, no, definitely not. If you can't meditate, you know what I mean? It's definitely a journey.
It's not even like meditate, but just like, even some people cannot sit still, or like just, sit with their own being.
Yeah.
Or was on the phone or smoking or eating, like everything, like constantly distracting yourself. You might really struggle.
Yeah. That was a version of me, because because of the pain, I was always trying to dodge the pain. So if I was super busy, and then it was, once I stopped, then I would be in agony, and then getting going again, then it would be tough.
And it's like you do read like big claims, like this heal this heal that, this da.
Yeah.
There are super powerful medicines like cannabis, ayahuasca, mushrooms, cow even as well, but like,
yes,
you are your own healer. Stop again. It's like going to the doctor and being like, I need help, and they give you medication. This is like, you're still seeking outwards. What this is, see these medicines as like things to empower you, to bring you back into your own essence, into your true self. It's for you to be like, I do have the courage, I do have the strength, I have the balls to get up and do what I want to do. So but like, some of the big claims is like, don't be going there and expecting. So there's a lot of expectations.
There is a lot of expectations. There definitely is. As I said, like, I have sat with it for so long, but I have did that much. The last bit of hard work I kind of probably did was around fear, and it was hard. It was not easy, because it took me back to, as I say, being sexually assaulted. So I thought I'd healed that. Do you know what I mean? So I was basically going through all that again, and through the emotions of it, and the things that I basically stopped myself from doing a lot of things in life, or on the other end of the scale, when I was drinking too much or was taking drugs, that was my way, and that was my way to feel better, because I didn't have that hatred for myself.
It's like that mask as well.
The mask, yes. Yeah.
Oh, and ayahuasca, like, the mask will fall. There's no hanging from it. Or like being ripped off, and you're just like, you feel so exposed, so raw. Yeah. But you're just like, this is me. This is actually just me.
You're coming back to this is the thing with healing yourself, you know what I mean? You're coming back to your most authentic self. You're ripping, you're basically like an onion, you're ripping them layers off, you know what I mean? To get rid of the trauma, to get rid of the pain, the bad feelings, whatever, to be true to that wee person that wee person that came onto this earth.
It is like deep inner child healing, and it's also like, when you come back from these things, like, people may not like
the new version,
your authentic self. They're triggered by it. They're like, oh, I don't like this, or what. They can be really triggered by it.
I found after doing a lot of the RTTs, my personality changed. I became more upspoken, and I spoke up for myself. I had different boundaries, and a lot of people didn't like them.
Like it, yeah.
No, they didn't like them because I wasn't a people pleaser anymore, and it didn't sit well with a lot of people. So there was actually a lot of goodbyes in my life.
Yeah.
So there was.
Noticed, like, my social circle is like really small, and I'm aware of like my energy, my time is very precious to me.
Yes.
So precious. So like if you're not adding any value to it, see you later. Bye.
See you later.
But it's like, but that was a very hard lesson. Like, I remember, like, before all this, like, I would have been people pleaser out all the time, just mingling.
Yes.
But I wouldn't have been able to do it sober. I would have had a drink or whatever, you know, just to be able to socialise. But as the journeys went on, everything's just sort of gets smaller, and it's just like, because I'm here for me, I'm not here to put on a show for everyone else.
Yeah.
You know, even family, like, there was periods where I had to really take a step back from family and even really good friends, you know, because we're just not aligned. You know?
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, it's not that I'm angry or anything with them, it's just, again, I really need to protect myself.
You do, you need to look after your own energy, because...
Even in terms of work, like, my time is very precious to me as well.
Yeah, and I would say that you're a strong empath. I mean, listening to your story about being a pharmacist, you were constantly thinking about these other people. Do you know what I mean? So as an empath, people do dump on you a lot. So they do. So, and you digest it as well. I know.
There's something wrong with me. I've done this, and then it's like that wee victim part comes in. I'm like, do you know what? See it all as like a blessing. Just be like, and this is a learning for me to be even more firmer or set the boundaries.
Yeah.
Not to put walls up, but just like, I know boundaries can be fluid. It just depends on the day how I'm feeling, but not to beat myself up if I say no to someone, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Oh, well, Paul, you've been absolutely great. You really, really have.
Thank you.
But your energy, like just you saying about your energy, you know, like Ashley calls you Big Daddy energy.
I know, baby.
I know. But you have a lovely, homely, safe energy, and I felt that when I did my session with you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt very, very safe, very, very held, and you know, it was a lovely journey. And even the journey we had with Ashley, Mandy, Nikki for Mandy's birthday, it was the same. It was lovely, and even though it was a group one, again, very, very safe, very, very, very lovely. So. Yeah, it was. So if anybody is looking to contact Paul, where's the best place to contact you, Paul?
Yeah, get me on social media. I have TikTok, I have Facebook, and I have Instagram. And yeah, it's just Soulscript. So
it's Soulscript by Paul.
Soulscript by Paul McAllister, yes. And you'll be able to, there's the link tree there that has the offerings, what I do, my services. Yeah, you can get me on there, or an email. Whatever.
Yeah, brilliant. And if anybody is viewing this today and wants to go back and watch it, you can actually go on and watch it on my new website at shecantransformations.co.uk. And thank you so much for Paul. You were really, really good. And if you've any, I know it really, really did. If you've any questions for Paul or anything about the podcast, put them in an email to, there is a part in the new website, put them in an email to that and I will get back to you or send you on to Paul. But yeah, it was super to have you on. You were great. Yeah, I could listen to you all day. You're just fab. You really